Hey, everybody, this is the Post Movie Podcast. I'm Steve Head.
I'm John Black.
And on this week's episode, we're going to talk about the myth of the American sleepover, which is playing at the Brattle next week. And we're also going to talk about Shark Night, which we just saw this morning.
Woohoo!
And we may talk about a couple of issues that I'm having with my computer.
No. We have to suffer through that. There's no reason the listener has to.
You know, you're right. You're right. I've
don't
found
do it.
that I tend to complain a lot.
No.
I tend to.
Shock.
Yeah.
Shock and awe.
From last week, and then what I just went through to get this up and going on the computer, man, it's crazy.
Nothing tops the farting at the coffee shop story, though.
That's what I've been told.
Yeah.
Oh,
God.
God, what was I studying this time? I was reading this book on...
Farts?
It's Who Gets to Call It Art. But I was also... I bring like 3 books to the coffee shop with me. One of them was this one I found in Francois Truffaut. And whilst reading this, the woman at the next table in front of me farted.
See?
And
I'm never going to this coffee shop, ever. It's got to be the grossest
and
place.
I'm like, it happens to the best of us.
No, it doesn't.
But, it also is like, I would like this podcast to be a little bit more highbrow. And if we're talking about bodily functions, that's not...
You started it.
I did.
You started it. Thank God we're not sitting here with a whoopee cushion doing illustrative noises.
Maybe we can do it like, keep one eyebrow high, the other one low.
And both fingers on my nose, just in case. All right,
so
let's talk about
what happened there.
The myth of the American sleepover.
Yeah, it's playing at the Brattle this week. I think I'm going to make this statement in the sense that I think there's a lot of people that listen to us that may be into Eric Romer.
No, well, I'll tell you right now, there's no one who I know who knows me personally that's into Eric Romer or thinks I am. Did he do Pauline at the Beach?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, well, there's 90 minutes of my life stolen from me, despite the fact that we're topless women.
Well,
talking.
It's very much just like, I don't know if I want to use the term cinema verite, but it's like pointing camera at life and letting it happen. And
God, I hate that.
Well, I think what was interesting is that I watched this with a sense of dread, thinking that something tragic was going to happen, thinking that the movie's about a group of kids, I don't know where they are, in Texas somewhere?
Small town USA.
Springfield somewhere?
Yeah.
Any town.
Yeah.
And they're at the cinematic impasse bordering on, youth, teenage flowering. And that's just what it is. It's like a night in these kids' lives, and we get to follow along, and it's painful. But it's also, in a way, real.
I didn't find it painful at all. I mean,
their experiences are painful.
I thought you meant my experience was sitting there.
I thought it was painful.
No, this is the kind of movie where people assume I'm going to hate it. I didn't mind it at all, and part of it was the performance of Claire Sloma as Maggie.
Yeah.
She had something, man. She was just fascinating to see every time she showed up on the screen. She reminded me of, and this is a weird thing for me to say because I hate Shirley MacLaine, but she reminded me of a young Shirley MacLaine.
You hate Shirley MacLaine?
Yeah.
Well, she has that haircut.
Well, yeah, she has Shirley, and she does a little dance number for the Drunken Talent Night. But the camera loves her a lot.
She was very immature, but when she did that dance, it seemed like all of a sudden she was an adult.
I guess. Maybe that's one of the myths. But it's a little too talky and a little too stilted and a little like, I think you made the mention at the end of it, it was all monotone. They all seem to talk in the same monotone.
Yeah. And
which can get a little aggravating.
How much of that can you take?
About it.
That mode,
I stopped at 93 minutes. That was it.
Well, I liked the fact that this movie, it wasn't, it didn't have this like sense of danger.
Yeah.
It wasn't tragic. It was actually kind of uplifting, and it didn't. It didn't have this sort of like movies tend to have sort of a karmic reckoning, where when in a film, like like for example in this film, teenagers do something they shouldn't be doing. Typically like in a horror film or in some sort of thriller, they're going to pay for it in the end.
Right.
But it's not like that. It's devoid of that typical danger. And I having seen tons and tons of films, as we all have, was kind of expecting it, and it never happened.
I think these kids are going to pay for it by having shitty lives. 'Cause there's not really a star in the bunch.
This is like a step below Friday Night Lights. It's like
Well, there's not a lot of drive. There's not a lot of.
I hate to say very middle class. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's kind of like it's really
White
tract housing,
suburban,
tract housing, kind of middle class.
And you can tell the director, David Robert Mitchell. I don't know. I've seen anything he's done before, but he's seen American Graffiti too many times. He's seen Slackers, Dazed and Confused.
Compared it to that, but I don't see it.
He's trying to capture that. You know, the whole thing. Remember in American Graffiti, Richard Dreyfuss never gets to see the blonde in the T-Bird until it's too late. And there's a blonde walking around here until it's too late, and she turns out to be not what the guy expected. And the kids they weren't very realistic. Again, except for Claire. She was the only one that had any kind of spark to her. And she walks around with a zombie best friend. You know, looks like...
They were kind of directionless.
Yeah.
It really was sort of...
But maybe that's the statement the director's trying to make. I don't know. You know, that's stuff that you can read into it, I guess. It just wasn't there on the screen for me.
It does fall into the category of a film that definitely is ripe for conversation. I don't know that the experience of it was all that entertaining, but it's intriguing. It's definitely intriguing.
And let's give a shout out to Ned at the Brattle for showing it on 35 millimeter.
Oh yeah.
You know,
it looked great.
It did.
It really did.
And the thing is, it had like a $3 production value, but it still looked good because it's on 30.
In such a way that seems to really capture it's kind of bleak, but yet it captured something about the summer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and this actress, her performance is like. She's always seemingly, what's her name again?
Claire Sloan? Sloma. Claire
it's
Sloma.
like she was always mugging for the camera in a way like she couldn't get used to her face. All these different
I didn't think
smiles and things. Like, I wasn't sure what she was trying to communicate or what she's trying to...
I never get the feeling that was self-conscious, that she was trying to mug for the camera. I just thought she just had a spark to her.
Trying to be cute or
no,
she
just was.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know how when I try to be cute, everyone knows it.
Then there was this other subplot, if you want to call it a plot, with a senior who is getting or got mixed messages from a couple of girls in his class who happen to be twins. And his mission for the evening is to find out what they were thinking, or I think, one, to let them know that he had a crush on one of them without hurting the other's feelings, and two, to find out what they were thinking as far as being involved with him.
Well, he's this guy. He's left college because he broke up with a girl.
I thought he was a senior, right? Okay,
he's a senior in college, which is just creepy. The fact that he's like stalking these twin freshmen, you know, there's a creepy element to this whole thing. But he's broken up from a girl in high school, and so he comes back home. He's living at home, and his sister drops a hint that, you know, hey, the twins really liked you. Yeah. And he takes that as a mission to go find him. He drives, you know, hours out of his way, I guess, and then, you know, and then it becomes just silly. You know, there's a freshman sleepover, you know, dozens of girls sleeping in the gym floor, and he just walks in casually, and no one says a thing, and he finds the twins.
What is it about the sleepover?
I don't know. I never
end of the summer communal thing, or
was it for you?
No.
So it was a myth.
Yeah. Sleepover.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Maybe
you know,
something.
It feels like a Midwest thing. Like, we've got nothing else to do, so we're going to take sleeping bags. And you know, there is that funny moment where the girls sit around and talk, and the guys sit around and watch, you know, horror movies so they can see boobs, and they you know, thumb through magazines so they can see boobs, and it's all about seeing boobs.
What do they do? Spin bottle and something like that. So they get 7 minutes in heaven with this one guy in the basement, haunted house or something like that.
In the movie?
Yeah.
Or just in your imagination?
No, in the movie.
It isn't.
When this one girl won the spin the bottle, and she went and kissed this other guy, and it really hurt this other girl's feelings. You know,
I must have nodded off. I remember spin the bottle game. Yeah.
It's very possible. It's a very drowsy film, but it's something that will play well at the Brattle. It has this alternative edge to it without any danger.
Yeah.
Believe it or not,
It's a dull
it
edge.
has like this they were really innocent kids, not guilty of anything tragic, and didn't have
Can you be guilty
karmic retribution.
Can you be
What were
guilty
they
of just
guilty of?
ennui?
Like, just drinking when they shouldn't have been drinking.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's interesting in a way that it's kind of about teenagers' communication. All these
Well, is it set in modern day? Is it set in 2010? These kids are weenies.
They're just young actors. It's very
innocent,
humdrum in a way, and kind of blah. You know, but it's
I think
cinema.
It's kind of interesting. Do kids these days still play with Ouija boards? Kids these days.
Oh, that's
I'm the
right,
old man.
Ouija board
I'm
scene.
the old man.
You think, as that's a ploy in a horror film, that something's going to happen.
Yeah.
Something memorable is going to happen in this coming of age film. Like they're going to be treated to some incredible life changing disaster.
Well,
but
she does try to breathe in the other guy's breath or something. They don't even
I think
kiss.
that maybe our experience as film goers, we're just trained to think that way. Trained to think.
And it's also
what's going to happen here that's going to screw things up for him.
There's part of that, and then there's part of the. After a while, you just want something to happen to these characters, and you hope you don't want it to be bad. But excuse me, that's me.
We're at the apartment. We recording in front of the window.
But
in
we
Washington
want
Square. So
it's not that we want something bad to happen. We want just something to happen. They just kind of float along like flotsam.
That's Romer.
Or this guy,
David
Mitchell.
Mitchell. Good film. Hey, let's talk about what's coming up to the Brattle this month. There's some cool stuff. Pearl Jam 20, Cameron Crowe documentary. You look really excited about it.
Well, I hope it's a step back for Cameron Crowe into making good movies because he's been out in the wasteland.
Done a documentary? I don't know.
Yeah.
He has been.
Yeah.
I wonder what happened to him. I think Elizabethtown kind of beat him down.
Yeah.
Maybe he needed a vacation.
I think either that or just being married to one of the Wilson sisters. I'd be hanging at the house with nothing else to do, See, it's not that I'm giving you a look because Pearl Jam's not my band. I'm too old.
I never got into Pearl Jam either, but I would look at this film from a filmmaking standpoint and be curious to see what Cameron Crowe's done.
Well, I talked to Ed while we were waiting for Sleepover to start. And it's already a big hit, Ned.
Right.
What did I say?
I was thinking Ed Simkus, but you mean
Ned
Hinkle.
Ned Hinkle at the Brattle. He was saying the opening night's already sold out.
Yeah, they're premiering it a couple days early.
They've got the ticket sales have been pretty good. He saw it. He said it was good. It was a little too much of a Valentine to Pearl Jam, but
if you're into Pearl Jam,
yeah. Oh God, yeah.
I don't know.
If it was a Stones documentary, I'd be there. Me and the
other
old guys.
Personally, I think Eddie Vedder's an asshole, so I'm just not.
I'm not sitting near you then.
And what have they had that really, I don't know.
What makes you think?
But this is my assessment of the band, not the movie.
Yeah.
Perhaps the film stands.
What makes you think Eddie Vedder's an asshole? Now, can we title that? Can we title this episode "Eddie Vedder's an asshole" and other observations?
If you insist.
No. Because that way, when we put it up, the people who are for some reason Googling Eddie Vedder will suddenly find out, hey, he's an asshole. Let's go listen.
I mean, it's just, does he sort of maybe represents to me like grunge being over. But then again, I haven't followed Pearl Jam in any way. I'm not, I don't think he's an attractive personality. It's not my thing.
Okay.
I guess if I had to go for anything in the grunge scene, it would have been, Nirvana or Soundgarden. I was going to, but still, it's attractive and not.
They ruined flannel shirts for me. I used to like flannel shirts. Now they're a statement.
I still wear the flannel, man.
So that's from September 23rd through the 29th. Well, they've got a salute to Woody Allen.
Oh, yeah.
And I just think that's
to see some of
the
that
coolest thing, because to go see Woody Allen on the big screen again, and these are some of the classics. They've got a double feature of Manhattan and Annie Hall.
Nice.
Which gives you the artsy, the artistic side of Woody Allen. But then they've got
great to see on the
they've got
screen.
Sleeper and Love and Death, and that's where Woody Allen is just being funny. Yeah. There might be some observations, some Woody-isms, but it's a good balance. And then Hannah and Her Sisters and Crimes and Misdemeanors.
Yeah, two great 80s.
Zelig and the Purple Rose of Cairo. That's a great date movie. If you've got a date and you want to bring something,
a workable evening, I think. Two moderately timed films. Zelig is not a long movie.
No. And then they've got Radio Days playing single and Match Point playing single.
That's a long one.
Match Point?
Match Point, yeah.
I don't,
Couple hours.
I remember liking it when it came out, but not thinking it was great. But I know it's supposedly one of his better movies.
It just seemed
but
so not Woody Allen.
Yeah.
And it really was great. It seemed to be a culmination of years of film work. I don't think a new director could really do something like that.
And I think
he really knew. I mean, you get the feeling that he really knew what he was doing, and it plays out pretty tightly for a long movie. And there's a nice twist towards the end that kind of
give it away,
blew me away.
Tell everyone. Well, I think it's good because
John's talking to the mic. I thought you were talking to me. Get away.
No. Give it away. Give away the secret ending. I think it's good because Woody Allen has his biggest box office sensation ever. With Midnight
in Paris. I actually think he's going to get a. But I hate talking about Oscar nomination crap, but that may be what happens.
But the thing is,
there's
obviously a lot of people who have seen Woody for the first time or are rediscovering him after not liking or not paying attention to what he's doing. So here's a chance to go to the Brattle and enjoy the communal experience of laughing at Woody Allen with a movie crowd.
Yeah.
Which should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, for the people that have seen Annie Hall a million times on video, you can see it on the big
and playing with Manhattan. Manhattan looks great on the big screen.
Does he have Stardust Memories playing or no? No. Oh, man, classic from 1980.
1980?
Yeah, I think Stardust Memories was 1980, I think.
Wow.
And I think Manhattan was 81, 82. I could be wrong. Anyway, they also got Crispin Glover.
Yeah.
Mr. Crazy with a couple of films.
Well, I guess it's
fine. He's got two films. It's fine. Everything's fine. And what is it?
But there's also an evening with Crispin Glover where he does like a slideshow each night, where he shows slides and tells stories. So
that's on the 9th, September 9th to the 11th.
There's a curiosity factor, but I'm not into the weird, wacky world of Crispin Glover that much. So
yeah, he was off the rails in the late 80s. I'd always wondered why they dropped him from Back to the Future, but in the new Back to the Future, well, not new, like a year ago, the Blu-rays, they discuss how he thought his agent thought he was a bigger star than he actually was, and he was asking for more money, and he just wasn't at that level. He thought he was at the same level as Michael J. Fox, and he just wasn't.
Yeah,
and he kind of shot himself in the foot.
Well, he was saving himself to remake Willard too, so that was his big career move.
Shot himself in the foot and kicked Letterman in the face. Maybe we'll talk about that.
What?
Remember his Letterman guest show appearance where he nearly kicked David in the face?
No.
I'm calling him David like I know.
Yeah. It's Mr. Letterman to you.
You can probably see it on YouTube. And they got this craziness from, it's actually September 30th to the 4th, the Cremaster cycle. Have you seen any of that crap?
The what? Obviously not.
What's his name? The artist Matthew Barney, I think his name.
I'm just going to stare at you till this goes away.
It's like 4 or 5 pieces of a continuous, disturbing art film. I've never really liked this guy's stuff. I see him as a guy that's done some strange and disturbing magazine covers, but he's got a lot of money. He's got people that invest in his films, and he's made these crazy, creepy cinematic experiences called the.
I'm going to turn all
collected into what is called the Cremaster cycle.
I'm going to turn over all the cards now and say no, I won't be there. I know there's something better that night.
These were shown at midnight, I believe, in the past few years at Sundance.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is. It's a curiosity. It's played. This series is played before at the MFA. Brett Michelle would probably be a better person to talk about this because he's sat through it all. But I don't know. Matthew Barney.
No,
coming up, and Jimmy Tingle's American Dream in October.
That's October. Let's
stick with
this,
Wrapped. I don't know anything about this movie. Director Lucas Belvaux.
That can't be right.
French film, man. I just am not with French names, man. I just just very American. What can I tell you?
All right, let's leave the Brattle.
The Coolidge. The Coolidge has got some great stuff coming up. I'm psyched. Class of 1984 is on the 9th and 10th next week. John, I know you're not familiar with the film, but
that's right.
For me, this was like a seminal 80s punk rock.
I love that word.
experience. I mean, it's slightly futuristic. Stars Roddy McDowall as it actually more stars Perry King as one of the teachers at this high school who's trying to combat the punk rock crime, or basically the crime.
Is this like Rock and Roll High School? And
No, it's more a thriller. Michael J. Fox plays one of the students. He's like one of the few real, up and up good kids. Roddy McDowall is like the crazy science teacher who actually, in what I thought was kind of a famous scene, he teaches the class at gunpoint. And there's a scene in the film where the head punk rock douchebag, played by Vincent Van Patten, Dick Van Patten's son, who's actually now a director. He does, I think he's directed episodes of Boardwalk Empire and Treme and Entourage for HBO. Roddy McDowall puts a gun to the kid's face to get him to answer a science question. Right, you live. Wrong,
And?
I'm not going to give it away.
You will love camera.
Great deaths in this film.
Yeah. Is this a midnight showing? Or is
it's
it?
a midnight showing on Friday and Saturday.
The T doesn't run that.
Of 1984. It's a rarity, man.
I'm not going to. It would cost me $100 on a cab ride to get back from the Coolidge that night. I'm sorry, it's just not worth it. Plus, after midnight, I fall asleep at those movies anyway.
Okay, the T situation, but really, it is. It's definitely worth it. They've also got Office Space on September 5th.
Are these all midnight screenings?
No, Office Space I think is one of their film appreciation Monday night 7 p.m. screenings that they're doing this week.
It's a great movie.
I'd like to see that on the big screen. It flopped hugely, but it's one of Fox's. I think it was their top selling comedy on video.
I bet. It's a great movie. It's so much fun.
And then one that you dig, The French Connection.
Oh, yeah.
On the 26th at the Coolidge.
And is that at night, like at normal times? When people are...
No, that is a 7 p.m. screening.
Cool.
I think on Monday the 26th.
That's wrong. I just watched it on DVD not too long ago, and it still holds up. Gene Hackman gives an amazing performance.
I keep thinking Piano Wire, Roy Scheider. Doesn't he get choked?
No.
Someone seen?
What are you talking
about?
about?
French Connection too? Then I'm totally wrong.
Yeah, I think you're totally wrong on this one.
All right. All right.
Nope, I don't remember that.
I feel like I've just been shot by an arrow.
Yeah. My critical arrow shot you.
Roy Scheider, I think it's French. He must be in... Okay, I'm sorry. French Connection 2. Get over it, Steve.
Wasn't it in Jaws? No, wasn't it? It was... I know, that was in All That Jazz, right? Wasn't he strangled by a heel?
No.
No? I can use 42 pickup, 32 pickup?
French Connection.
7-ups.
One of the best car chase scenes.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing, if you get it on, they probably... You want to see it on the big screen, but if you get it on DVD, they have a lot of making of stuff. Mm. And this is William Friedkin as the director, and he had basically no permits, no nothing. They took the back door off an old car, slapped a camera on it, and drove like assholes through the streets of New York.
Do they get some good making of stuff on the DVD?
Yeah,
like the documentary and stuff.
Yeah,
talking about
because it was such a different kind of movie when it came out. Uh-huh. Because it was almost documentary style filmmaking for, and it's really gritty New York, 1970 something. So, there's good making of stuff, and it launched a terrible sequel, but a lot of careers. Oh, the sequels.
Man, class of 1984, it's got me thinking that I should make a quick note about Harvard's American Punk series, mm-hmm. which actually starts tonight, but the podcast, I won't be able to publish it for a day or two anyway. Times Square is playing tonight, but next week, the Amos Poe's Blank Generation from 1976, which was featured in Blank City, the documentary we talked about some months ago, is playing at Harvard. Border Radio is next week. And Suburbia is actually this Sunday. I don't think I'll get to publish the podcast by Sunday, but that's definitely worth checking out. Also, World on a Wire, this German sci-fi flick from the early 70s, 74.
Is that
it's a Fassbender film?
Yeah.
Fassbender.
I went through a Fassbender phase.
Time.
I think everyone does.
Yeah.
But it lasted for like 4 movies, and I was like, I'm tired of Fassbender.
So I'm going to be movied out this week.
All right, then.
Man, Shark Night, which we just saw
a couple
hours ago.
Yeah. Ugh.
Where do you start?
Well, the thing
I
is,
can tell you where you start.
At the end,
the one smart move that the makers of this movie did was not show it to critics because it would never survive that.
No, and there's good reason, And the thing is, it's a risk not to show a film to critics because there's that automatic backlash where it's got to suck they didn't show it to us. It's the same with Apollo 18.
You want to see it; it would make things easier for us.
Piranha 3D. Are you kidding?
Really, there's no way out.
I want to go see Apollo 18 just because there's supposed to be a trailer for Piranha Double D.
Oh, I didn't know that.
On the with it, but
which I think was they're filming it in Wilmington, North Carolina, and they were affected by Hurricane Irene. Piranha 3 Double D.
That's a shame.
So,
it'll be here though.
We'll get that movie nonetheless.
But Piranha, Shark Hunt, Shark Night, whatever.
I was beginning to think at some point, what does night have to do with this movie?
Here's my feeling. Here's my feeling about Shark Night. It pretty much sums it up. Remember Jaws?
No.
Jaws. When Jaws came out, it was this movie about a killer shark. When Jaws came out, it made you afraid to go back in the water. Mm-hmm. This makes me afraid to go back into the movies. This is just ridiculous crap. The 3D sucks. The story sucks. The actors were all picked on how they look with their clothes off, and not even off.
I think what they really were going for here was we were going to get the same kind of amusement we got from Piranha 3D. And
right.
It was just nowhere near.
No, there's no humor.
There's nowhere near the.
There's no carnage.
Self-deprecating, we know what we're doing, craziness.
Right. Instead, you get from the very first time the shark attacks, you get a Jaws ripoff, where the girl, gets, thrown back, pulled back and forth, and it just goes downhill from there. I just was staring at the screen in bemused detachment.
Yeah, but I wasn't. I'll admit, I wasn't bored.
Really?
Because you still have the you still have the promise of the attacks. You still know there's going to be some shark shit coming.
Yeah, shark shit is right.
But it really just.
But it's lame. It's a PG-13 movie
story
where
it attempts to titillate.
Right, and it attempts to excite. It's made for that. It's not made for me. Definitely, it's not made for a mature audience, but there was a kid there. There was a little kid there, maybe 10, and he was just he was blown away. It was awesome. Because if he had sat through Piranha 3D, he would have been horrified, traumatized.
So this story takes place in Louisiana. It's about
poor hasn't Louisiana been through enough? Come on.
College. What are they? What are they? Still in college? Out of college? It's like.
They're in college. They're on spring break. They go to the.
It's like the cast of MTV's The Real Life. Everyone's buff.
Yeah.
Everyone's completely shallow, and
we're going to a private island in the middle of the swamps.
Yeah.
And it cracked me up because here they are. All right, they go to this private island,
accessible by this really slim, waterway.
Right. But the thing is, they come to this. They're pulling into this girl's house, and it's shot
immaculately dusted after being left alone for
3 years.
It looks nothing like a house that would be sitting near the land.
No, but then when the boat pulls up to the dock, there's a fuel pump and 2 propane canisters at the end of the dock, and I'm like, first of all, do they have their own fuel pump? And then I was like, no, it's just there because it's going to get blown up later. It's just these little.
Introducing all of these kids, it's basically you're introducing the meat.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to buy it, and they have an altercation with the rednecks.
Yeah, it's in Louisiana. Do you think there'll be some crazy, ugly rednecks?
Yeah, and you think when they get chased by the police in a police boat that the filmmakers didn't catch that we'd be onto the fact that this is a small world and she can, run from the police as much as you want because she knows who the policeman is.
They were too busy filling the screen with that aerial footage from the fact that they're on a little pond and suddenly it's like they're racing through the Gulf Coast. Because that chase goes on for so freaking long.
Here's the other thing. So there's one killing at the beginning.
Yeah.
Then you go, half an hour, 35, maybe 40, with nothing. Nothing. Where it's like when you finally see a shark fin, you're like, oh my God, Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, do me a favor. Kill all these obnoxious kids. You know, it just, yeah. It was so stupid. It's not even
the physics of it.
It's
man.
just badly made. Yeah, the
like you were saying
physics
about the guy who's water skiing or waterboarding or whichever, and he gets his arm ripped off.
Right.
But he's able to swim to the shore,
Right.
pull himself up to the shore. He's tended to by his friends, but later on in the movie, he's able to right himself and attempt to kill a shark.
Yeah, he's tended to. They wrap a
Forgetting
towel
about it.
around his bloody stump, and then the guy, you know, because he's a doctor, you know, he's going to be a doctor. He has the presence of mind when his friend comes out with his arm missing to dive back into the water.
Unbelievable.
To get the arm.
Unbelievable. So they're tending to him. And they're like, guys, go, wait. Oh, I'm going to take care of this. He's like the pre-med student.
Yeah.
So how the hell is he going to find this guy's arm at the bottom of the freaking lake? You know, just generally.
Well,
even if this guy was attacked like 30 yards out or something like that, he's going to find his arm. He finds his arm.
Well, the severed arm is not
implausible.
There's no blood coming from it, so the sharks aren't anywhere near him.
Well, there was a trickle.
Oh, yeah,
just a trickle, so that the other shark would.
And the thing is, you know, when
chase him until he finally gets out.
When he dives into the underwater shots, look like they were shot in a backyard pool. I mean, it's really it's just the crappiest.
What is so great about Jaws is the fact that it's a giant jumbo machine,
right?
But it's real,
right?
You get this like
it doesn't look like a computer animated
awe-inspiring reality of it. Instead of here, you get the computer shark, which we've seen before, and it just wasn't anything impressive about it. I think there was one impressive shark jumping kill. Where because of these YouTube videos of sharks off of South Africa, they've learned that sharks can jump pretty far out of the water.
Right.
You know? So we get some of that, you know?
Yeah.
There's actually one good kill. You know, I was going to say, in talking about this story, I don't know, you know, these actors, who Sarah Paxton?
Yeah, Sarah.
She's the blonde, but basically I'm like going to be referring to these women as that girl, that chick.
Yeah, you know that blonde chick.
Yeah,
when she dies. So that brunette chick when she dies.
Saying that one chick who was on the boat with the two redheads and then pushed into the
rednecks. Not redheads, rednecks. Same thing.
Yeah. Pushed into the shark bin, but these were like the special mini sharks called the cookie cutter sharks that you eat from the inside out. That I thought was momentarily creepy. You know, 1 minute scene,
right?
Where instead of eating from the outside, these friggin' things bury
but
from the.
They're also
creepy.
It also looks like a video game more than a movie at that point because it's so.
Never at any moment in this movie was it scary.
I just picture the poor girl, you know, in her bra and panties trying to writhe around on a green screen. You know, just look frightened. Look frightened. We'll add all the stuff later.
It's just lame story. Then these talking about the lame story. The rednecks are involved with how these sharks got into what is, I guess, a saltwater lake.
Yeah.
You know, how do the sharks get into the lake? They're assisted by these rednecks who have a plan, have a money-making scheme. I mean,
because they're going to make because there's so many people who watch Shark Week, that they're going to make the real deal. And people will pay to watch it.
Video cameras to the sharks so that they can see these things.
Yeah, you know, these sharks are pretty good cameramen. You know, because when they're attacking, they manage to attack so that it's always in the shot.
So the armless guy, has pulled a spike out of the ground and stuck through a shark that happened to be swimming, I guess, maybe 10 feet off the shore.
Well,
and he drags the hammerhead onto the shore. And is this where they pull the camera off of the bottom of the darn thing?
Yeah. Yeah. With a tiny little cameraman strapped to him.
Right.
The fact that, the one-armed guy suddenly appears with it's an African-American guy who suddenly has a spear, and he wades out, with his bloody stump to kill the wrong shark.
Yeah. Man,
I
love
so ridiculous.
Donald Logue plays the small town cop with a speedboat who, when one would suppose would, have control of this lake area. And I was like psyched. Okay, Donald Logue, just something I could relate to. Love him from Dow of Steve. Love him from his TV work. And funny guy. But no. It just, nothing here. And then Joshua Leonard from Blair Witch.
Yeah, and
Remember that
Hatchet.
and he was also Jane Addams' boyfriend for a few episodes on Hung,
Okay.
the Thomas Jane HBO show. So he's got a career. He's one of the few Blair Witch cast members that have a career after that.
Right.
But he plays, I guess, an amusing redneck, but the movie's just...
Who Donald Logue does.
No, well, they both in a way do.
Well, I thought the other guy was one of the students.
No, Donald Logue, no, Joshua Leonard is not one of the students. He's the bearded redneck. One of the
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Then he wasn't in Hatchet. It was the other
Yeah.
guy. Because who cares? Their names are not important in this.
It's not.
They're not.
It's
They, like
directed
you
by,
said, they're just meat.
Who made this? David R. Ellis,
Yeah.
director of. God, what?
Snakes on a Plane.
Snakes on a Plane.
And
Final
two of the-
Destination 2 and 5.
Yeah.
2 and 4.
2 and 4. And one of those Homeward Bound
Cellular,
movies.
which was just
Yeah.
abysmal.
Yeah, he's a hack.
That was- So,
And, I was proud to see there were only like 6 people at the screening.
we
this
had
morning.
another freaking thing happen to me. I mean, of all the things that one has happened to him during a screening of the film, I know last week we talked about getting people thrown out of the theater just for texting and whatnot, but about 45 minutes again, something like that, halfway into Shark Night, a couple of bums, for lack of a better way to put it, walk into the theater and sit down, 2 seats away from me. We're in the same row. These bums are sitting 2 seats away off to the right. It wasn't the noise. It wasn't the fact that they had periodically made a couple of strange noises during the film. It was the smell that finally got to me, and I had to get up and find another seat in the back of the theater. I had not considered stench before as a reason to
Complain?
displace myself from my current viewing situation. That was, oh God! Man.
And then afterwards, you were standing
out.
out.
Film sometimes
You were standing outside the theater watching the people go into
'cause we were
other screenings.
We saw Shark Night in Theater 14 at was it Theater 14? Theater 14 at the Common, which is at the very end of the row. So when the movie lets out, and we saw an early screening, when the movie lets out, if you get out into the hall and you see everybody come out of the theater, you can watch everybody spread out and
Go into another show.
into the other shows. So
Yeah.
the 2 bums went into Apollo 18, and a couple other people went into what's the Zoe Zalinda
Colombiana?
film? Colombiana.
Did they even show that one in the press?
No, they didn't.
And I got like 3 stars in the Phoenix after the fact.
Bypassed us. Apollo
Yeah.
18 bypassed us too. I still kind of want to see it though,
No.
assuming it sucks.
It sucks. Let's go.
I assume it sucks, but
All
I'm
right.
curious.
Yeah.
I think that what draws me to some of these things is just the curiosity of the debacle.
Yeah. And plus, just because they quote unquote suck, it doesn't mean you can't really defend Piranha 3D. But I loved it. I had a ball watching
Yeah.
it. It's not a good movie,
Yeah,
but I had a ball watching it.
I kind of missed it after
So,
Shark Night.
yeah, it'll come back.
It did become a Shark Night in a sense because the last half hour of the movie took place at night.
Right.
Sharks were in the lake attacking people. So, Shark Night.
Yeah. Let's just
we're
avoid
done
it.
with this.
Just avoid it. Yeah, we're
Throw it
done.
overboard, man. I don't even know what else to say. I can't say
There's
anything
nothing.
else
No,
about Shark
we've given
Night,
it
man.
too much time as it is.
A note to listeners, what John and I have decided to do since our shows kind of have extended towards an hour, and we got to thinking, let's split it up. Let's talk about the videos, new home video releases in a separate episode. So, and I may just completely cut out what I've just talked about. So hey, check us out online. We're at post-movie.net, and we're on iTunes. If you can leave us a review, always grateful for that. Always awesome to get a nice review. And like us on Facebook. And if you have any comments about the show, send us an email. We'd love to hear from you. Let us know what you think. We're at contact@post-movie.net. So until next time, I'm Steve Head.
I'm John Black.
So long, everyone.